Hello, I'm Langston, and I'm back on my channel, Military Election Forecasting. So I'm gonna, make it a plan to upload a lot more on here. It is somewhat kind of difficult because obviously I do live in Japan now, and trying to, keep up with the American time schedule, and etc. Like I have to usually make videos late at night or make them in the morning because I'm 14 hours ahead of, the East Coast and 17 hours ahead of the West Coast. So, it does kind of make it more difficult being able to interact with this channel. But, I'm gonna really make it, a hobby of mine, like I make my other channel, in terms of, like, uploading videos about politics and etc. So today I wanted to talk about Joe Biden's untalked about firewall and why Joe Biden still has a narrow advantage in terms of winning the presidency. Joe Biden has four states that, he simply has the mathematical advantage in. So the last time I made a video, I talked about why I think Biden is favored to lose Georgia, why Trump is favored to flip back the state. I'm going to be talking about why Biden is favored to win these four states and why that allows him to win re-election. So we're going to start with this map. So these are the states that Donald Trump is for sure going to win, and these are the states that Joe Biden's for sure going to win, and districts as well. Joe Biden starts off with 226, while Trump starts off at 179. Trump is more than likely going to win in Texas, and with the way things are looking, North Carolina as well, and Georgia, and Wisconsin, we're just going to leave it off for this specific video. We're going to be talking about why Joe Biden is favored to win. And the reason why Joe Biden is favored to win is because of these four specific states where realistically Trump is just at a simple disadvantage at, and regardless of Biden's unpopularity or etc. And those states are Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And this gets Joe Biden to 277 electoral votes, making him president, despite losing Wisconsin and Georgia, which are two states that he won narrowly back in 2020. So again, looking at Pennsylvania, so the first one I want to talk about is Nevada. Nevada is a state that has not voted for the Republican Party since 2000. And for Nevada, you hear a lot of people talk about, oh, Clark County, a county where Republicans are making narrow improvements or et cetera, at least in the last couple of election cycles. But I do want to point out that Joe Biden netted 80,000 votes. I'm sorry, 91,000 votes out of Clark County. Let's see how much Hillary Clinton netted. So she netted 80,000. So again, Biden, despite Biden winning Nevada by a slightly smaller margin, Hillary Clinton, he still won by more votes. So people need to understand that and margins, votes are more important than margins. Like, it's not about the margin, it's about the votes. So again, more people in the Las Vegas metro area, disproportionately Hispanic, disproportionately Black and Asian American. And even if Trump makes improvements with those voters, it is necessarily matter too much because it's more of them, as we saw with why Biden was able to net more votes than Hillary Clinton out of that specific county and why he won Nevada by more votes than Hillary Clinton. So if you look at 2020, Joe Biden won Nevada by about 34,000 votes. Let's see how many Hillary Clinton won the state by. Hillary Clinton won Nevada by 27,000. So again, Biden won Nevada by more votes than Hillary Clinton. Not by a lot more, but you know what I'm saying? That it doesn't necessarily matter about the margin, it's about the amount of votes. So because of that, Trump really has to do a lot to win in Nevada. His easiest way is, many Republicans are hoping on turnout in Las Vegas just absolutely collapsing. And, with the narrow gains he might be able to make there, as well as being able to run it up in the rural areas and the working class areas, realistically, that's not the most likely scenario. I'm someone who has said I don't think that Joe Biden can be compared to Catherine Cortez Masto. Catherine Cortez Masto is a lot stronger of a candidate than Joe Biden, especially for Hispanic Latino voters in the Las Vegas metro area. But again, Joe Biden's going to, regardless of what happens, Hispanic turnout will be better in 2024 than 2022. So because of that, Joe Biden's base, the share of the electorate will be more Democratic than it was in 2022 and likely even more in 2020 just because of how much Nevada has diversified. Nevada is a minority majority state. All minority majority states, excluding Texas, are Democratic, and Texas is trending dramatically to the left. So again, it's a clear correlation. And just think of Nevada's, the history that we've seen is just going to stop now. It's somewhat of a delusional perspective to have. We know Hispanic voters have a history of trending to incumbents. So when people act like, oh, Trump, he improved Hispanic voters, so does every incumbent president. So did George W. Bush. So did Barack Obama. So did Bill Clinton. Donald Trump is not special. He's not. So because of that, Trump is just not, in my opinion, necessarily favored in Nevada. I think of all of these states, Nevada is the least likely he'll win, which is why even in 2016, despite him winning the presidency, he still lost Nevada. And I stand by that. In Arizona, very similar thing. I think Arizona and Michigan are the two other states Joe Biden there really has locked down. I think Joe Biden really has 258 electoral votes locked down. Like in terms of what he would do right now, despite his unpopularity. I will also add Pennsylvania in there as well. In Arizona, Arizona is a state that has been trending rapidly away from Republicans, for a while now. You saw George W. Bush win Arizona by a solid margin. You saw that margin, dramatically in the Obama era. And you saw, Arizona really become competitive in the last, couple election cycles to the point where Democrats have been winning almost all statewide races there, federal and local, and, statewide races. And, the clear indicator was Katie Hobbs, someone who was a much weaker candidate than Joe Biden, was able to win was able to win Arizona by a larger margin than Joe Biden. And it's really symbolized, the demise of, Democrats, the demise of Republicans in the state of Arizona and their margins in the suburbs in the Phoenix area, as well as Arizona becoming rapidly more Hispanic voters being a Democratic voting bloc by and large. So the more of those voters, the more Democratic votes there are. But again, for Republicans in Arizona, they've realistically been struggling for a while. And we've seen this, especially in the Trump era. And for Donald Trump, despite Biden's weaknesses, it's not going to really help him. It's not going to convince a lot of moderate anti-Trump Republicans to not vote for Biden. Like Biden's problems is with his own base, with black voters, with young voters, and that's not the main demographic group in Arizona. So for Trump, his only path, like in Las Vegas, would be for really bad turnout in Phoenix, really bad turnout in Tucson. And I'm not saying that's impossible, but even with that, the suburbs are trending so rapidly against Trump that it still might not be enough to give him a narrow victory. Which is why Biden definitely has an advantage in Arizona, despite his unpopularity, etc. Same way we saw Katie Hobbs, a weaker candidate, was still able to win by, even more than Joe Biden, despite, all the issues that she had with her candidacy, not wanting to debate or etc. So again, another state I want to give Joe Biden is Michigan. Michigan is a state where I do think Democrats could have some trouble in the Senate race, but in terms of presidentially, I just don't think Democrats have too much to worry about. I do think this will be a problem, like turning out black voters in the Detroit area. Joe Biden is losing a lot of support amongst black voters. I do think Trump will get out a lot of these white rural voters, a lot of working class voters, and that will help him. In Macomb, this is where Trump nets a decent amount of votes. I think that Republicans won't do too much. You're seeing a lot of black voters from inner city Detroit move to Macomb County. So, that will help keep Democrats afloat, as well as some of the more affluent areas of Macomb County trending to the left. But I think Trump will really max it out in the white working class in Macomb County. In Oakland, this is what will save Joe Biden. It's Oakland and Kent County. So, Democrats have really been making gains here. They start making gains in 2016 in the era of Hillary Clinton. Even though Hillary Clinton did better in Oakland and Kent County, she just did not net that many votes. Like you see, she only netted 70 or so thousand votes out of Oakland, and she lost Kent County by 10,000 votes. You go to 2020, and Joe Biden doubles the amount of margins. Like he literally nets more than 100,000 votes out of Oakland County, and then he nets 20,000 out of Kent. Like that is a dramatic improvement. So, despite horrible turnout in Detroit, which is not the case. Turnout was really good in, with black voters in 2020. But regardless, even with horrible black turnout, Democrats should still be able to remain afloat in Michigan. There's been a lot of talk about, oh, there's a lot of Arabic voters turning their backs against Joe Biden, which, I think is true to an extent. But you have to realize Arabic voters don't make up that big of a chunk of Michigan's electorate. In 2022, Arab voters trended dramatically to Tudor Dixon, and, she still lost by a huge margin, primarily because Arab voters are way overpowered by black voters in Wayne County, on top of the fact that they just don't make up that big of a chunk of Michigan's electorate. So they won't be able to overpower, these college educated upper class white suburban voters, as well as, the black voters that do show up to the polls. They will be way more than enough to counteract them. I do think Trump will be able to, keep it competitive because of that, as well as, white working class, white rural voters. But Democrats just have too much of a firewall in Michigan, to lose. They need a lot of things to go in Trump's favor for him to be able to win in Michigan. And as of now, that's not the most likely scenario. The last state is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is another state where I just think Joe Biden has a simple advantage. And the reason why is, I talked about this in my video, is the Philadelphia suburbs. I do think Trump does have a path in Pennsylvania, which is, his saving grace. But you have to realize his path is less likely than Biden's path. So for Trump to win, he would need black turnout in Philadelphia to absolutely, just be at the floor. Like if he can get 2022 numbers, like I want to say 2022, Democrats only got 412,000 votes, like a 200,000 vote drop off in Philadelphia. That means Trump would win Pennsylvania by more than 100,000 votes. So again, like a massive drop off in Philadelphia will be enough. But I do think Trump will squeeze, maybe 20 or 30,000 votes out of these rural areas. Maybe 20 or 30,000 out of the working class areas. But you have to realize Biden will squeeze more votes out of Chester. He'll probably win Chester by more than 20. He won Delaware by 26. He'll probably win Delaware by 30, as well as Montgomery. So again, like Biden will squeeze more votes out of Delaware and Chester. Like he won Delaware by 88,000 votes, Montgomery by well over 100,000 votes, and Chester by 60 or so. I think he'll squeeze more votes out of there, as well as in the suburbs of Allegheny County. Like he will gain more votes out of those areas. So because of that, that really negates Trump's ability to counteract that. And his only way of winning is really for black turnout to absolutely collapse in Philadelphia. And I don't think it's impossible. I think that, there's a realistic chance that we see a 2016 kind of scenario where, you saw turnout in Wayne County drop by like 80,000 votes. If that happens in Philadelphia, now we're talking about, Trump having a realistic chance. But, I'm not saying it's impossible. There's a lot of black voters that are very unenthusiastic about Joe Biden, as well as some college educated voters as well. But it's just not the most likely scenario. Like, I don't realistically think that black turnout would drop. I don't think we'll get turnout will be that bad in Philadelphia. I think it will definitely decrease, but decrease, to an absolute collapse. I just wouldn't bet on it. I don't think that it's not possible. I don't think that it's even, unlikely, but I just don't think it's the more than likely scenario. And because of that, that gives Joe Biden an advantage. Like Joe Biden has the ability to still win the presidency despite, struggling a lot with some of his base, just because of how a lot of these states just have natural Democratic leans. Does that mean Trump cannot win? I've talked about how Trump can win. I think Trump's best pass would be through Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Wisconsin. But more than likely, I just don't think Pennsylvania is a state that he can really rely on. I know damn well he won't win Michigan and Arizona or Nevada. So because of that, that gives Joe Biden an advantage and in this contest. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning into my channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below. Make sure to have a nice day, you guys. Goodbye.